Welcome to Brookside Story. I'm Pastor Paul DeVries, one of the pastors here at Brookside, along with my partner, Nicole. And I'm standing in for my good friend, Quentin Schultze, who normally does these things, but the reason I'm doing that is because I'm here with
Barbara Schultze.
All right, and you're involved in our dance ministry here at Brookside.
That's right. I brought the dance ministry back to Brookside a few years ago.
Well, and thank you for doing that. I appreciate that very much. But not everyone understands dance, especially in worship, and why and how. So tell me, why would we even have dance in worship, right?
Well, that is a very good question. Dance brings a new aspect to worship because it brings our whole bodies into worshiping God. God was incarnate in Jesus. He made our bodies to be temples of the Holy Spirit. We need to be aware of our bodies and using our bodies to worship Him.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I remember some time ago, it's been a long time ago now, I was at a conference about worship, church life in general, and there was a person at the conference who worked at the center where the conference was, and she gave an emotional plea that we who were pastors and worked in churches and worship, her phrase was, leave a light on for those of us who are artistic and need to express ourselves. And that's part of what you're saying.
Yes, right? Yes. For me, because I have a little bit of anxiety about speaking, the fact that I could use my body to express worship to God and to express more fully the meaning of words or music was very important.
Okay, great. So when you engage in dance, along with a song in worship, just speak about yourself now. How does that make you feel or experience God's presence?
It's a great question. Because I put a lot of work into preparing to dance, I feel the Spirit using me to express myself, and that gives me the opportunity to express back to God my feelings of worship and honor. In fact, there's a song, "We Must Dance in God's Honor," and that's how I feel. It's just a very emotional, spiritual expression.
Yeah. So what would you say to people like me who, although I use my body, I like to talk with my hands and I move around when I preach, I don't really dance. Nor did I grow up experiencing dance in a worship context. So I'm sort of mystified by dance. So what would you say to someone like me?
Okay.
Who's like, what in the world is this all about?
I did not grow up dancing either. I grew up Christian Reformed, and part of our taboos were dancing. But dance was created by God. Movement was created by God. He became flesh and dwelt among us, and he is now with us in the person of the Holy Spirit. Yeah, right. So using dance, using our bodies, is a way of honoring that embodiment. But still, it's sometimes is hard for people to understand what the movement means. Why are we doing this kind of thing? But
see, that's the thing with the dance you do here at Brookside. I don't think of myself as someone who naturally understands dance. I certainly don't understand ballet or the fancy sort of dance you would see, at DeVos Place or someplace like that. But when you and your team dance, I understand what you're doing. Why do you think that is? I mean, I'm not asking you to comment on me, but what are you doing that enables me to understand?
Okay. What we do is choreographed. It's not just spontaneous movement. There can be spontaneous movement in dance as well, but we try to make our movements we choreograph our movements to either the words or the sensibility of the words or the music, so that, for instance, when we want to praise, we might bring our arm around like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
When we are feeling, for instance, in the dance we just did for the Advent season, we talk about darkness and turning away the darkness. So we cover our face and then we push the darkness away.
Yeah.
So it helps the congregation to sense what the words actually mean.
Right. And that's one of the things I appreciate about what your team does. So, sometimes I raise my hands in worship, not all that often, but I do like to do that fairly regularly. And occasionally people will ask, are you trying to get us all to raise our hands? And I'll say, no, I don't really care what you do. I say it better than that because I'm a pastor, but people have to be free to worship in their own way.
Yes.
And one of the things I appreciate about dance, we can continue to worship by singing or by receiving what the choir is singing, however that works for us. I'm not a particularly musical guy either, but the words, even the facial expressions, all bring it together.
Yes.
And dance complements all of that, I think. So
that's the idea.
Yeah.
That we are there to complement, enhance, further interpret.
Yeah, and for those who it's extremely meaningful, it's extremely meaningful. And for those who maybe it's not, well, there's other things going on at the same time that might move them, right?
Right.
It's a little bit like the way music and preaching complement each other, right? That makes sense to me. Well, one more thing I want to ask you. Your team that you put together here at Brookside is rather unique, it seems to me. It's multicultural, it's got some diversity in age, and it looks to me like some diversity in experience. So say something about that. Is that intentional or what?
It's not really intentional, although I would hope that anyone would feel that they were welcome to dance. And though that's who has joined the dance group, we're always open to others joining the group as well. There's a pioneer in liturgical dance named Carla de Sola, and she says that dance is for everyone who wants to be moved by God. And I want to make it open to everyone who wants to be moved by God.
Yeah.
So those who I had no experience when I first began to dance. I was 45 years old. Had never danced before, and I was moved by God to say, I want to do this. I want to learn. And so that's what I invite others to do.
Well, I want to thank you for listening to God and following through. I mean, worship is, a dialogue. God speaks, God moves us, and then we respond in a variety of ways. And I appreciate very much what you do at Brookside, and I want to thank you for it.
Well, thank you very
And
much.
perhaps those of you who are listening understand dance a little bit more, even if, like me, it's not your natural language. You can see how it's functioning here. We worship at 10 a.m. every Sunday morning. We're here at 3600 Kalamazoo, right where 36th Street runs into Kalamazoo. We'd love to have you in worship. And about once a month?
About once a month.
It's not on any set schedule, but as Barbara is moved by music she sees that's selected, or if someone suggests to her, that's when the dance is scheduled. We'd love to have you come to Brookside sometime and check it out. So thank you for your presence with us today, and God bless.